This week on the Baseline Podcast, Josh and I are breaking down and recapping the NBA Finals. We're going to be talking about how the Celtics might have had an easy run to the finals, but also, was this one of the most boring NBA Finals we've ever had? We also talk about how the impact this has for the NBA in the future, and is JJ Redick the answer to keep LeBron James in LA? We also focus in on the NFL with Lawrence's big contract down there in Jacksonville. Is it worth it? Is he worth it? And finally, is golf becoming an exciting sport to watch? All that and so much more coming up on the Baseline Podcast. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Baseline Podcast. I'm Ben. That's Josh. And we are here in the smoking hot weather of June. And you would think, oh, maybe in Ohio it's hot, but not in Hungary. Of course not. No, it is. It is hotter than molasses on a frying pan. Yep, I just made a Midwest joke. Well,
that's the sound of frying pan.
It's hot, man. It's hit like 95 for like 3 straight days, and then the heat in the city. Remember, I'm in the city, so it's always hotter because of the concrete. So it's probably been close to 100 a few times that I just haven't checked. But how's it going for you, Josh? I'm sorry that I spoiled the heat that you're dealing with, but I'm very salty about it being so hot.
It ain't a spoiler alert. If you're listening to this now, most likely you've already been dealing with it the last few days. But yeah, in Ohio, it's been in the low to mid 90s. And, me working in a factory, it's probably 10 to 15 degrees hotter in there.
Like
we got no AC. Luckily, I'm on night shift, so I don't have to deal with the hottest parts of the day. Yeah. But even still, it's been absolutely brutal. But hanging in there, we got these next 2 days off where I can hang out in some air conditioning, cool down, recover a little bit, and then go back at it for 3 straight days again. But
it is funny because my wife is actually doing she's kind of doing like you're doing. She's doing like she's doing like second shift. So she's working from like 4 to 10, but they don't have air conditioning. And she's going through the same thing where it's just so hot and it's miserable to work. And especially she's doing coffee shop. So imagine coffee, like hot coffee, just dealing with that all the time.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Anywhere where it's got to be warm
But you know what is fun? Watching the NBA Finals. Well, I didn't really watch any of it because they were very boring this year. But the NBA Finals are here.
I don't think the final series itself was as much fun, but that is what we are going to kick the show off with, though. Yes. Boston Celtics are crowned NBA champions as we predicted. 18th championship for the franchise.
Sets a record.
Yep, breaks the tie that they had with the Lakers, right, at 17. So, yeah, Boston Celtics are NBA champs. I don't think anybody is shocked by that this year, but I did get to watch the last game, Ben. I had a day off where I could finally sit down. Did you? Yeah, and Dallas's effort just disappointed me overall. Just so – oh, I see why you're smiling now.
Hi.
Oh, making a guest appearance. We haven't seen the whole body.
I know, the whole fam.
Yet.
The whole fam.
To see like the head.
We've only seen her head half the time.
Yeah.
There she goes. Oh no, she's getting squirmy. She's getting squirmy. Hi.
Remind me what her name is.
Fahe.
Oh, Fahe.
You want to say anything?
That was something.
It was something. She spoke great words about the Celtics championship. So continue.
Yeah, let's talk about the Celtics championship. As I was saying, Game 5, I just was disappointed with Dallas's effort. I mean, we didn't think that they were going to be able to come back. Nobody's come back from being down 3-0.
We're broken up again. Oh my goodness. What has happened? No, not go Michigan. No. What has happened? No. This is not happening.
Why'd she say that?
I don't know.
Your dog will always pick Michigan over.
No, stop. No, this is torture. No. Oh my. So yeah, Celtics win their 18th, which is kind of crazy, Josh, to think about that the Lakers and Celtics have had 35 of the NBA Finals.
Just 35 of all the NBA Finals are going to two
mind-boggling.
Yeah. I'll try to say it one more time. Third time's the charm, right?
Yes, third time's the charm, yes.
Would have liked to have seen a better effort from Dallas. It just seemed like there was a lot of off balance, contested threes shot. Yeah. Nobody was hitting any of them.
No fluidness.
Yeah, there wasn't anything going offensively for them. And Boston had their cold spells too, so there was definitely opportunity.
Porzingis wasn't healthy.
Yeah, exactly. So Yeah, now that we got the finals all done, Ben.
Yep.
Any thoughts or takeaways? I got maybe a couple for the league,
Yeah.
but go ahead with any you
It,
got.
I guess for me, it's, and I know people are out there saying, well, the Celtics had an easy road. Like, look, I still believe in the old adage, like you beat who you play. Like now, do I think they've had the toughest road to win an NBA Finals? No, by far not. Right. But they beat who was in front of them. Like, I'm thinking about my football season right now. Like, we're beating who's in front of us. We can't control what happens. You just have to win your games. And look, they showed that they are legit. And this, I think this is the first year in a while where we've looked at the number one team in the NBA is like literally the most legit team. And now, would I like to see them face the Nuggets or someone like that? Yeah, I think they've been great. But I think, again, like going to what you said, like the Mavericks just, it honestly, they never seemed like they had anything going the whole finals. Like just watching highlights, it was like they just don't seem it. It seemed like Luka was just not in his own right headspace. Same with Kyrie. So I mean, I hats off to the Celtics. I mean, Mazzulla is like I think he was the second youngest head coach ever to win it or something like that. Some weird number. I think he's like 35 years old, which is just mind-boggling to me. Um, but yeah, I mean, great. I mean, when Pep Guardiola is the guy that's helping you get ready for a game, I know he's a soccer coach, but still, it's pretty impressive. Yeah, hats off. And yeah, I don't know what you're going to talk about the league, but I guess it's kind of nice to see parity in a sense. Now, I hate to say parity because we just said a team won for the 18th time, but they hadn't won since what, 2009? So it's not like it's a team that's been in the finals. We've had what, six straight different champions, I think, in a row now.
I think, yeah,
I
it's
think
been
it's like 6
six
years.
straight years now with a different champion.
Yeah. So for me, it's cool to see, but again, uh, what's going to happen this offseason? I think there's going to be a lot of change in the NBA this offseason when it comes to players. I think you're going to see less of super teams, Josh. I think less of super
That's
teams are
where we're
going to
heading.
happen. I think it's going to go back to what it was when we were kids, where it was maybe you had two stars together, but you would never have a team sell out their future because we saw like the Thunder, the Celtics, the Cavs, even the Bucks to an extent. Like they went out and got their own guys. The Spurs, the Mavericks, got their own guys and are trying to make a difference that way. And I think it's more fascinating that way.
Yeah, so I was just going to mention the series as a whole. It didn't seem like the public was as interested in it
No, they
either.
weren't, dude.
Ratings
They just
dropped
weren't.
11% from last year's finals to 2.4. Viewership down 12% to 4.53 million. Um, this also is the fifth straight year now without a single game hitting the 14 million mark. And that's something even the MLB has gotten to in the World
Yeah.
Series at Game 6 in 2021. But I was just thinking about like the whole parity thing you brought up. There's been six different champions the last 6 years. And I've been kind of excited about the NBA's shift from super teams, more of I guess, the unknown of who's going to win a title. But at the same time, Ben, I don't think the league right now has a clear-cut best team.
Yeah.
I don't think the league even right now has a clear-cut best player. And stuff like that has always been what's driven a league like the NBA, where there's only five guys on the court and superstars carry a lot more weight on whether or not their team's going to win a championship. Think about like going from the Jordan era Bulls, and then you go into like the Shaq Kobe Lakers, and you got the Tim Duncan Spurs, and you had the Warriors run right there. And it's just like we had so many dynasties come through
Yeah.
like during our early childhood, like to like our early adulthood. We've had a clear cut like best player too. Jordan ran the 90s, and then you had like periods where Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, and Shaquille O'Neal all were like clear cut best players, all top 10 players of all time as well. And when you look at the landscape now, I mean, some of these guys are young, but is the best player in the league right now Nikola Jokic? Is it Luka Doncic? Is it still LeBron James? Is it Joel Embiid? Like, there's a lot, Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's a lot of guys that you could throw into that discussion, I think. And then all those guys that I just mentioned are top 10 players of all time. And like each decade has had one of those guys. Like you had Magic and Bird in the 80s. You had Kareem in there for some time in the 70s and the 80s. You had Wilt and Bill Russell. Like there's always been like one guy that like is far and away from the competition that ends up finishing their career out as like a top 10, top 15 player. And like I said, some of these guys are still young right now. Their careers aren't finished yet. But right now, I'm not seeing any like top 10, top 15 all time kind of like talent in the league right now. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you got an opinion on that. What do you think about anything that I just said?
I think it is fascinating. I think it's a good point. I think that you're right. I think the NBA is the one professional sport where people will watch less if there's not a star or a team that is dominant. Um, I never thought I would say that, but it's true. In the NFL, you'll still have people watch the NFL. NHL, you'll still have people watch the NHL. You'll still have people watch baseball. Like, yeah, it's great to see big teams, but it's different. It's a different vibe, right? It's kind of like golf. Like if you don't have any really good golfers, no one's going to watch golf, right? Like no one's really going to watch it. And it's the same with the NBA. Like, let's be honest, most American fans, they don't want Nikola Jokic to be the best player or Luka Doncic. And it's nothing against them, but they're not American guys. And I think a lot of times NBA fans, specifically Americans that are NBA fans, they want to see the LeBron James of the world, the Michael Jordans, the Kobe Bryant, the Shaqs. And when you have these, that's why I think there's this like tussle in the media to say that, oh, Nikola Jokic isn't a 3-time MVP, or whatever. It's like,
yeah, they really don't want him to be MVP
it's like,
anymore.
but he is. I mean, if you look at the game, the best players in the league, 3 of the top 5 right now are all from a different country. And it's something that we have to get used to. Again, that's great because it's globalizing the game. It's making the game reach. But like you said, how long does the NBA last? I'm not saying it's going to fade off into nothing, but more people are watching college basketball every single year. More people are watching, college football, the NFL, the baseball. Like I think, and soccer, European soccer. I think part of it is because the NBA was the first league to really go political. And again, I'm not trying to be political, but what I'm saying is once that started and the teams kind of were, it was just, everything was kind of dead and null. I just think there was a point where the NBA kind of just got like, like a bland thing in your mouth every single time you watched it. And again, like I said, there's 6 different champions. And again, that's great, but it'd be nice to have, maybe a 2-time champion those 6 years, maybe not back to back, but 2 and 3 years or whatever. And yeah, like you said, no player that is really dominant right now. And yeah, it does make it a little weird and a challenge at sometimes to watch.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with a friend. He was like, there's not really anything on the line, no legacies on the line in the league right now. There's not like anything to play
LeBron's done
for.
everything he can. Like, like LeBron's passed everything he can do.
It's like
Now he's just waiting.
It's like that's a good point because that always would drive me to watch like even the Warriors. I mean, that was mostly against the Cavs, but I wanted to see them go down.
Yeah.
Or just all those other I guess dynasties that I mentioned. Like there was something on the line to play for every year.
Seems like now they just want to target Nikola Jokic. It's like, oh, let's take him down. Like it's like, what did this guy ever do to you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, the league is star driven. It always has been, and right now we don't have like that clear cut guy that we're like trying to watch to see if he's going to, maybe be the next LeBron or Kobe or Michael Jordan. We don't have that next dynasty that could be like the next three-peat or like 3-time champion.
Let's be honest, Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic are not enjoyable to watch for most people. Now, I love the game of basketball, so I think it's fascinating how they play. But if you watch them, Josh, let's be honest.
Basketball people might like them, how they're fundamental, but you're right. The style play overall is kind of vanilla, right?
It's not enjoyable. And even Giannis, not enjoyable to watch. He's just very like basic kind of player. Why do we love LeBron? Why do we love Kobe? Why do we love Shaq? Because they're
LeBron
freaks.
and Mike,
they're
freak
freaks.
Athletes, freak athleticism, total dominance.
And speaking of,
they do it in a different way. That's the only thing.
And if you don't have anything else to add, speaking of LeBron, we have some news that literally broke as we're recording this, like before we started recording this, and that is, who would have thought? And I put this on our story. It was saying that JJ Redick last year said that he's coaching 3rd and 5th grade, and that in a few years he hopes to move up to middle school. Well, he's jumping a lot of grades, and he's moving straight to the NBA. And I announced that there's breaking news that Josh and I will be joining a NHL team next year with zero experience, because that's basically what's happening. So before we dig into it, Josh, what is your initial thoughts about JJ Redick becoming the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers?
Yeah, we heard a lot of talk about that. They had been in discussion, and I am shocked that he wants to get into professional coaching now. And all the pressure of trying to be the head coach of the Lakers right off the bat.
Awful, man.
We've seen that organization like mistreat a decent amount of coaches over the years. We've seen a lot of guys like get their like first crack at head coaching, I guess, over there. I think of like Luke Walton got his first head coaching job over there after being deemed a really solid assistant with like the Warriors organization. This dude that they just fired, him, I think that was his first coaching job, if I remember right. And then just even like more solid coaches like Frank Vogel, just being under the LA microscope
and LeBron microscope.
And the LeBron microscope is very hard. And I know JJ and LeBron are like good friends off the court. They do the podcast thing together.
Man. It's different
but
when you get
on the court. On the court, it's very different. So yeah, we can talk about how smart JJ is and how well he knows the game. You would have thought that guys like Steve Nash probably knew the game very well. They get their first head coaching job in a team like Brooklyn with a lot of superstars and goes miserably for him. And it's just like, man, I do like JJ Redick, and I hope that this doesn't totally collapse. And I mean, we're talking about if him and LeBron are going to get along in the court. LeBron might not even be a Laker next year, but I think this is a play by the Lakers to try to get somebody that he's familiar with, that he likes, to come over and hopefully stay in the LA scene for the next year or two, or however much longer he's going to play. But that's my thoughts. Is like JJ's obviously a smart dude, knows the game, has totally changed I guess the NBA media landscape, just far and away the most intelligent guy on TV. But coaching in LA, man, it's a totally different animal, and I hope he's built for it.
Yeah, it's a weird one, man. I love JJ Redick like as a podcast, man. Like I hate, because this is going to end and he won't be able to do the podcast.
There will not be any more of that, yeah.
And it's just because he's so smart, like he's so intelligent and he's so like bright with the way he works, and like also like the way he stands up for just like he stood up for Nikola Jokic, I think 2 years ago when Kendrick Perkins does his freaking, when everything's a race card and he does his little thing, and how he stood up for guys like that. But
yeah,
also the idea that, look, if this is a LeBron play, this is a very dangerous play. Because I believe then this is all the chips in the table. Let's say LeBron doesn't come back. Now you're stuck with a rookie coach with not the LeBron effect to help you, or vice versa. You do have LeBron, but let's say you don't win at all. Because I think this is all in. It's like, because I think LeBron maybe plays, I'm guessing maybe 1-2 more years tops before he's just like, hey, I want to go make billions of dollars doing something else. It just seems a little risky. Now, I thought Dan Hurley was also risky, guy with no experience. It just feels like the Lakers' job is not the one where you bring someone that has zero experience, at least with this group of people and the group of players. I really hope that the news is true that I read on ESPN, that he's going out and trying to get some veteran minds. But like, who wants to be an assistant coach under, like, no offense to JJ Redick, but look, I've been an assistant coach. It's very hard to be an assistant under someone that has no experience, and you're a veteran guy. And
they might say some stuff that you just clearly know is incorrect. And
exactly.
You can't really say anything unless that he's a guy that's being willing to.
Yeah. And I think JJ is willing to learn. But again, this goes back to say that LeBron is truly the GM, because if this was LeBron, because, there's been news about LeBron meeting with the 76ers and a few other teams, but look, I've seen LeBron enough to know that he always has a few aces up his sleeve. And I think this was one of his requirements from the Lakers. Like, you have to give me someone that I respect and I like. And look, I think if they draft Bronny James, this is the stupidest draft pick they would ever waste, right? Like, I think LeBron knows that too. And that's why Rich Paul came out and said, like, they're not a package deal, right? And I think that's very key, and that those words were very key, because I think that is telling teams, like, listen, LeBron knows for a fact that his son is not ready for the NBA. Like, that's what I believe. Like, again, that's what I'm reading into. And again, if you're JJ Redick and the Lakers, like, do you risk that when you kind of know Rich Paul's kind of saying, like, hey, hands off of him, because it's just he's not ready. That's only my take. Again, I like the hire in sense that he's a smart guy and he's intelligent. He'll be great with the players. He played for so many years, but when it comes down to it, we've seen this before. Will he be able to put together the stars, be able to handle the Hollywood lights, that's a question to be seen.
Yeah, man. I agree with pretty much all that too. It's yeah, speaking of LeBron, and we'll see where he decides to go, but some people are thinking that he might try to reunite with Kyrie Irving too.
Which, I mean, if I wouldn't blame him going to Texas. I mean, all the taxes he's been paying over the last, like, what, 10 years, he can now not have to worry about it anymore going down to Texas. But yeah, it is a fascinating thing because Bronny James, like, but did you think that was interesting too when Rich Paul came out and said that they weren't a package deal? Because for the whole time we've always thought they're a package deal. Like wherever LeBron goes, that's where Bronny goes. Do you think it's fascinating that he came out and said,
I think they very are much a package deal. I think he was just saying that so that teams wouldn't be like, well, maybe so that like a team that LeBron definitely doesn't want to go to doesn't take Bronny.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't have to go there too. Like let's just say Portland takes Bronny James. You think LeBron James is going to go to Portland?
No.
Me neither. So I think he's just putting that out there to be like, look, just because, you know, you get Bronny, it's like, doesn't mean that LeBron's going to go there. I think they're totally a package deal. You're telling me LeBron's going to sign with a team that doesn't draft his son
this is my
and
question.
Play against him?
If Bronny's sitting there at 20 and you're the Cavs, what do?
You wait till the second round and have that conversation again.
Yeah. I agree with you. I think Zach Edey, I hope they get him. Oh, I'm hoping that the Cavs land him.
You want Edey in Cleveland?
Yes. Or we can just wait like a year and get the 7'9" guy that's going to be playing at Florida this year. Which, by the way, he's a freak, dude. He's the most unathletic looking guy, though. So unathletic looking. But I guess when you're 7'9", you don't have to worry about it. But anyways, that is the news on that for sure.
Yeah. One more NBA topic we gotta quickly hit on is the Detroit Pistons firing Monty Williams.
Dude, this
after
dude is
1 year of
bank,
making him
man.
the 1 year later after making him the highest paid coach in the league, you fire him.
And he's also, by the way, getting paid, I believe, $20 million from the Suns, which means he's making $85 million for the next like 4 years.
Yeah, to not coach.
Dude, like, if you're him, and I put this on our story, like I'd be going to Europe or Asia and just like living life and just not caring, like, to be honest with you.
That's one of those like veteran coaches that I'm sure JJ Redick will try to talk to get on his staff. But and if you've already got like almost $100 million from a couple failed head coaching stints, you think you want to come back and be an assistant in LA? I wouldn't.
But I do think that move was just like, dude, I feel like the Detroit does it. Like they don't even give their coaches a chance. Like, dude, give him like at least 2 years to try to develop something. Like I never understand this.
Like 1 year in the NBA is not enough.
No, especially with that roster, which was atrocious. Like,
and you clearly thought he knew what he was doing with how much money you gave him. Like, give him time to get his like system and some guys in.
Dude, $65 million you owe that man. It's like Bobby Bonilla Day. It's gonna be like that's what it's gonna be every year. You're gonna have a celebration.
Williams Day.
My goodness. Yep. That is nuts though. Wild.
Man. Yeah, and then we'll have the draft coming up.
Yeah, draft will coming up in June.
Free agency coming up.
Right? July? Is it July? I think it's July, right? I think it's
usually it's near the end of June, early July.
Yeah, something like that. Next week or so, probably.
Yeah, and then we'll have all the free agency stuff going on. So we're definitely done on the court, but NBA offseason always tends to be super loud.
Always fun.
Maybe not so much now with like we just talked about, super teams aren't really a thing anymore, but there are a couple names that I think definitely could be on the move.
Yeah, for sure.
So one champion crown in the NBA, we still don't have one crowned in the NHL, at least at the time of our recording.
Because they just will not stop fighting.
Edmonton's come alive, man.
They're like, and we said this. We said if that offense gets going, good luck, because
it's very hard to stop. Yes,
it's very hard to stop.
After Sergei Bobrovsky basically waved his magic wand around and shut him out those first 3 games, the Oilers have gone off for 8 goals and 5 goals in game 4 and 5. I got to watch the Saturday one. I just was blown away. They actually had to take Bobrovsky out of the game, put their next guy in, and they just continued to like unload on that guy too. But
I still struggle to see if they're going to win this series, though. That's going to be the tough thing.
Still coming back from being down 3-0 is very, very, very hard to do, right? This next game 6 is going to be in Edmonton, so they at least got that going for them. But Maybe they
As they
just
s-
figured Bobrovsky
yeah.
out. Maybe the offense has just finally come alive. But I'm glad the series is at least competitive. But yeah, if Florida blows a 3-0 lead, man, that's
Well, it's like they said, right? Get to game 7, you never know. You get to game 7, you never know what's going to happen.
yeah,
That's all you got to do.
yeah, you never know. So yeah, it's a matter of can you win a game on your home ice in front of that loud home crowd, and then once game 7 comes around, can you get it done in a game 7? But yeah, this Oilers team, I mean, you got to look at this too. Like they're not the ones that like are playing with any kind of pressure on them. I think that's
No,
all on Florida now at this point. You can't blow the 3-0 lead.
no, you can't be that team.
You can't be the team to blow the 3-0 lead. Exactly. Man, I just got to read some Connor McDavid stats to you
Dude,
too,
that
because
dude's
this guy,
unreal, dude.
this is why I think why you and I both picked Edmonton is
Because
because
he's
they
a
got the best
freak,
player
man.
on the ice. Exactly. So that 8-1 game, he went off for 4 points, got um 1 goal, 3 assists, and then this last game, they won 5-3. He got 4 points as well, 2 goals and 2 assists in that one. Dude's just I mean, he's doing Connor McDavid things, as they would say.
Yes.
Best player on the ice. Let
Also,
me read you some
did you also see, just pause in there, did you also see the breaking news that just happened as we're recording this? The NBA breaking news, since we just covered the NBA.
oh
Uh,
no, what?
Alex Caruso is being traded to the Thunder for Josh Giddey. That's all I read. I didn't read the details, but that's just happened. So
Caruso for Giddey, huh?
interesting trade. That we can get
A
into that
very
next week.
interesting
But
trade, yeah. Yeah, so anyway, those numbers that I was going to read you from Bobrovsky, we talked about that first game shot where he had 32 saves in that one. Yeah, he allowed 4 goals in game 5 on 19 saves, and then that game 4 where they lost 8-1, he allowed 5 goals and only had 11 saves. Huge difference in performance there after having a save percentage like well over 95
that's
combined
the
those first 3.
Bobrovsky I remember at the Blue Jackets. That's the Bobrovsky I remember.
That's
Do
the one
well
you
for a
remember.
game and do terrible for like 3. That's the one I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, so game 6 is Friday. It'll probably be done by the time this episode comes
Yeah.
out. And then game 7, if it's necessary, will be on Monday at
Ooh,
Florida.
buddy.
Yeah, NHL getting really intense right now. We had a big time NFL contract get
We did.
signed this last week too,
I wish
and
I was a
I've
quarterback in the NFL. Make so
yeah,
much money.
quarterback contracts are really cool. I feel like this one was largely unnecessary, especially given
100%.
what he's accomplished and where he's at in his rookie contract right now too. So if you guys don't know already, Trevor Lawrence signed a 5-year extension for $275 million to stay in Jacksonville. I think that makes him now, per average, the highest paid quarterback
Yep.
in the league right now.
And his
The
numbers are
man
the
has
same as
had
Blake Bortles. Just fun fact.
when you look up the numbers, it's right up there with Daniel Jones, Gardner Minshew, even Marcus Mariota. You can look at one hand and be like, okay, back-to-back 4,000-yard, 20 touchdown seasons is nice. I guess he's won a playoff game, although he threw 5 interceptions in that one. But I think the reason that we all love Trevor Lawrence so much and give him like all this praise is because he's been tabbed a generational talent. So we're willing to be patient with him. But for what he's done so far this year, and he still has 2 years left on his rookie deal, if you assume they're going to pick the 5th-year option up. I don't know why they're in a rush to do this, but
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor Lawrence doesn't deserve this kind of money, Ben. This is like 55 million a year on average, I think.
We've even said Deshaun Watson didn't need it all his guaranteed, and I can sure as heck tell you that Lawrence didn't need this either. Like, like
It's not a fully guaranteed. He has to like get
no,
some
yeah,
incentives and some playoff wins to
but
get
it's
it
still
fully
like,
guaranteed, but still,
but it's
why?
like,
You didn't need to do that. You could have extended him and given him about 50 million less.
this is the one thing I don't like about professional sports right now is like once one guy sets like the average record, it's just like now everyone has to do it. Like you look in the baseball. I mean, next year we could have 2 guys making 50 million a year. Right? Like that is mind-boggling to me. And the same in football. Like we're going to have guys making 60 in 10 years we'll probably have guys making 70 million a year. Like that should, and that's partly
Very
because of
likely.
it's partly because of Joe Biden's inflation issues, but it's just it's mind-boggling to me sometimes these, and again, Not that Trevor Lawrence has been bad, but is he worth all that money? Not yet. I haven't seen
There's
enough. I haven't
10
seen
or
enough.
15 guys I'd still take before him in
Yeah,
the league right
I
now.
haven't seen enough yet. It's just like Deshaun Watson. I'm mad still because I haven't seen him be worth the guaranteed money yet. It's the same idea.
Yeah. So that leads to the question, like you were saying, like we're going to see guys making 70 million. I think definitely 60 here really, really soon.
Oh yeah.
And when you think about the guys that are going to be up for contract, is that going to be like Dak Prescott or CJ Stroud?
But is that going to work? Is that going to destroy your team though? Think about it. What if you have a star receiver? He's going to want 40 million a year or 25, 30 million a year. What if you have a star defensive end? He's going to want 25 million a year.
Yeah.
And it's at the point where like you're going to basically have to let go of some star guys or somehow convince these guys, well, we need the quarterback more than you, right? And let's be honest, NFL guys have egos. They're never going to do that. And it's just a fascinating thing that's going on right now. And it does worry me because now teams are going to have to take like practice squad players just to fill out their roster with the amount of money that they're going to be spending.
Yeah.
I wish I was making that money though.
It would be really cool. And yeah, it seems like with the exception of Patrick Mahomes, the formula in the NFL to win is almost always superstar team with a quarterback on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
If you can get Trevor Lawrence on a rookie deal for 2 more years, I don't know why you wouldn't take advantage of that.
I'd take it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we've seen Justin Jefferson become the highest paid wide receiver recently. We've seen Trevor Lawrence become the highest paid quarterback recently. Wonder if we're going to see any other record contracts here this offseason.
No,
I don't know if there's.
I don't think so. I think we're getting to the point where I think they try to get these done now, and then I think we're at the edge of that. I don't think you're going to see many during training camp. I really don't. Maybe a few here and there, but I don't think any big ones that are like going to break in the books.
Yeah. All right. What else do we have on the agenda? You had something else.
Yeah, well, we talk about soccer. Soccer's having the big Euros.
Yeah, go ahead and discuss all that.
Technically, Copa America's happening too. So I mean, 2 of the biggest international tournaments are happening. Copa America takes place in the Americas, duh. And the European Championships, Europe, duh. So right now, it's still in the group stage. There's not much to talk about other than the fact that Hungary has got their butts handed to them by Switzerland and Germany, which it's not really fair. But yeah, like Germany's dominated. It's hosted in Germany. I believe the Copa America starts, I think, this weekend, so it hasn't started yet. But you have like Argentina in there, you have the United States, so that's going to be a fascinating time per se here in the next few weeks as these tournaments go on, which by the way leads into the Olympics, which the Olympics is happening in July. So it's just going to be a full slate of international competitions for many different sports. And I know we talked about, we said we would talk about the Olympics occasionally as it goes on. So that'll be fun to talk about. I always love talking about the Olympics. I loved watching the Olympics, man. I remember as a kid, 2008, Beijing, watching with my mom and dad. Still remember playing the Mario and Sonic Olympic games on the Wii.
Yes.
Just dominating. And I did javelin throw. I was killer with Sonic the Hedgehog with javelin throw. Man, I missed that game. But we will be talking about that as that comes along. But there was a couple other things that we wanted to touch by. But one of those, Josh, I don't know did you watch any of the highlights from the golf this past weekend at all?
I didn't watch any of them. I know who won it.
Yes, Bryson DeChambeau, who, by the way, is basically becoming an internet sensation since everyone got mad that he left the PGA Tour and went to live golf. That's besides the point.
Yes. And Rory McIlroy is a meme.
Oh, and he choked so bad, by the way. He had like a 2-shot lead and then missed 2 like 3-foot putts, which, yeah, you really can't do that.
Tough.
But my question for you is, because there's 2 things with this, because the other thing about golf is the lifetime or like the guaranteed exemption for Tiger Woods
like
for the rest of his life.
If you win it, you get to like stay in the tournament regardless of what tour you're on. Yeah.
So basically I'll talk about the exemption first, because I think this is the fascinating part. Then I follow up with a question. The Tiger Woods exemption is literally only for Tiger Woods because the criteria is that you have to have 80 plus wins on the tour, or like a major, like not major wins, but 80 wins total of any tournament you on the PGA Tour.
Yeah.
And if you've eclipsed that, you get an exemption to play in any tournament you want. So basically, even if you haven't, because the way it works is you have to play so many rounds, or I think tournaments. You have to make so many different levels, right? And also the amount of money you make. And since Tiger is like only playing the big ones, he can't make certain, like the Open Championship and stuff like that, because he hasn't played enough. So they made this exemption, which I just think is really funny. It's kind of like that kid, in high school that just gets like exempt from doing things because he's just like the cool kid that has just a bunch of experience. I feel like that's what it's like. And I want to get your thoughts on that before we continue. What is your thoughts on it? Like, do you think that's kind of cool, or do you feel like that to some maybe it's kind of annoying, especially for the guys that have been on the tour for 30 years? Like, what do you think about that?
That is fascinating. I've just recently found out that if you win a major like that, you get to stay on it for like, some of them let you stay on it for like the next 10 years, regardless if you're in the Live or the PGA or retired or whatever. And then brought up how John Daly won the British Open like way back when and competes in it every year now, even though he doesn't do anything else, because you can always come back in that one. It's like lifetime competition from there, because the majors all like regulate that kind of stuff. Like they do appear on the PGA Tour, but they regulate all that. And obviously, if you're a major event like that, you want all the top competition there. You don't want to exclude half the best golfers in the league there and Live, because then that makes your tournament not as competitive and doesn't bring as many ratings in there. But the Tiger event's kind of funny, or the Tiger rule exemption's kind of funny. I did not hear about that one. That's an interesting one, and seems more like it's like a tip of the cap to somebody that's done so much for golf and brought so many people in. It's just like, we know Tiger's probably going to bring a couple million more viewers maybe, so we're going to go ahead and make this exemption, and everybody's just going to be fine with it.
Yeah, it does remind me of high school though. Like in gym class, when that one kid, like he doesn't have to do the running the laps because he's on the football team, so like he doesn't have to do the laps.
Yeah, he'll do all his running on the field Friday night.
So he doesn't have to worry about that stuff. But the other question I had for golf, and this talks about Bryson DeChambeau. If you didn't know, he has a YouTube channel that actually is teaching people how to golf and like his tips and tricks, which by the way, we've never seen in golf. We've never seen in golf.
We don't see any pro guys doing that.
If you see that, like he actually goes with YouTube, like golf YouTubers, and he does like matches with them. He does like, they give him crazy. He did like wooden clubs the other day. Like he does these things to show how he changes his mind and how he can focus different ways. My question for you is this. Do you think golf is more entertaining with someone like that personality? We always know Bryson has always had this like aura to him that some people like, some people don't. Do you feel like it's good to have that, like, the Live captain versus the guy who stood up for the PGA through all of this, and Rory McIlroy? Like, do you feel like we need more of that to create golf as a little bit more exciting of a sport? Or do you think it's too much to have someone that is so involved socially and social media and stuff to be that kind of forefront in the sport of golf?
No, I think you need that, and it might be non-traditional from, I guess, the classiness that golf has always been, to try to get involved in stuff like this. But if you want to grow the game, man, you got to have stuff like that. You got to have like top players being willing to educate people online and build a platform like that. You got to have like these player rivalries, like we were just talking about with the NBA. The rivalries are gone. We don't have a clear-cut best guy. We don't have a dynasty. Like, we don't have these things that are drawing viewers in.
It used to be Phil versus Tiger. Phil versus Tiger, and there is no more of that.
Yeah, having something like this that like isn't artificial by any means. Like you said, Rory's been very passionate about the PGA and like not letting Live guys go and not selling out for money. And Bryce is one of those guys, like you said, is he's got a platform online. He's got a little bit of personality to him, and something like that can.
I mean, he's a long drive champion. I mean, he won long drive, which is like no tour guy ever does that. Like, no one is learning how to drive longer than what most people do, but that's what makes him unique.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a legit rivalry, and something that I think could bring a little more attention to golf. At least look at us. We don't talk about golf on this show.
True. And now we are. But it is fascinating because Scotty Scheffler, I know you've kind of obviously we know that Scotty Scheffler is the best in the world, and it's not even close. Like as much as Bryson DeChambeau and Rory McIlroy looked great, Scotty Scheffler has done some incredible things with the golf club. And I know he had a rough U.S. Open this week, But it's very fascinating for me because, again, I'm not a golfer. I don't really golf. I will do putt, but that's about it. And it's cool to see like Scotty Scheffler. Now it sucks because Bryson DeChambeau, because he's in the Live Tour, he actually can't make the Olympic team this year, which I think is stupid because I think that he would be, because his points don't count to his world ranking only in the majors. So I believe it's only the majors, because he's in the Live Tour, count towards his ranking. So it means he can't be a part of it. And there's other Americans that could easily be a part of it because they're Live Tour. Because like imagine him and Scotty Scheffler on the same team. Like that is like two of the biggest personalities in golf.
Imagine showing up to the scramble and you're going against those guys.
Oh yeah, it's just not even fair, right? So I would just say this, like if you want to know more about golf, and I've learned a lot from Bryson just watching his YouTube videos. It's very fascinating, and he does some really cool things where he had like Siri pick his clubs. So like he had to do a chip shot with a putter, right? He had hit a drive with a pitching wedge, right? Like these things are just hilarious, but you would never see Tiger do that. As much as I love Tiger, you would never see Phil Mickelson do that. You would never see Scotty Scheffler do that. Bryson's like, why not engage with people? Because I learn from people. I want them to learn from someone that knows what they're talking about. So I think that's what's really cool about that.
Yeah, I agree.
So
good stuff.
That's the first time we've talked about golf in like ages. I don't even remember the last time we talked about golf. But I will say that right around the corner, believe it or not, it is June 20th as we're recording. College football is going to be here. NFL is going to be here. College basketball will be here before we know it. Josh and I are going to be ramping up for that, and that means that our previews, I believe, Josh, you have the kind of the timeline. I believe we're going to be starting the previews. Is it next week we're starting the previews?
Yeah, first recording that we do in July.
Yes.
We'll be taking a conference in college football and a division NFL and going through those until we run through all the Power 4 conferences of college football, and then we'll make it just 2 NFL divisions for the rest of the time.
And let us know in the comments who we should start with. If there's anybody that you want us to start with, which divisions. I know we tend to be more biased. So for sure the AFC North will be one of the first ones we do. And I'm sure the Big Ten and the SEC will be.
We actually saved those for last year. We did our in-person.
But since we're not going to be in person because sad.
Yeah, we might just kick that off.
We might kick off
maybe.
It. So let us know. Also in the comments, let us know what you think about this golfing thing. Should golfing be like its own, like, should we have hype parties for golf now? Like, is that going to become a thing where we all get hyped for golf? I don't know. But it is fun to talk about other sports. Obviously, we talked about soccer and some other things happening. But I know Josh is excited for college football season to come around. I am pumped. It's going to be so much fun. I'm excited to do fantasy football again. I'm excited to do college football. I've already chosen my dynasty team. Like, we are going to be up and rolling once that time comes around. But hey, we still got a little ways to go. We still got some baseball, which, by the way, we didn't talk about baseball today. I mean, Stephen Kwan, hats off to Stephen Kwan, hitting almost 400 right now. Will he keep it up? We both know, Josh and I both know, that usually about
hitting 400 for a full year is hard.
Usually about August hits, and they go into like a 1 for 30 slump, and then they never catch back up. But we'll see what happens. We'll probably talk about that next week anyways. But we hope you guys have a great weekend. Have a safe one. Stay out of this hot weather if you can. Get some AC. It's always fun to get some AC. Drink some ice cold lemonade. Maybe have a root beer. I don't know. Whatever your beverage of intake of beverage. I don't even know that's a word. I don't even know that's a sentence. But anyways, I hope you guys have a great weekend. And if you love this video, go ahead and click that thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if you love us, just listen to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Make sure you give us a rating, 5 stars for the face. And 5 stars for just the content. Anyways, I hope you guys have a great time with family and friends this weekend. Stay out of the hot weather. And until next time, we'll see ya.